Welcome to Fresh Starts Farm 2024 crop tour. It's July 12th. Here's what a field of corn's looking like. This was planted on June 8th. It's been a really wet year. Found a couple windows though to get it planted. And then 2 weeks later, when the corn was about V2, I'd say about 60% of it was V2. The rest was V1. Interseeded buckwheat, about 70 pounds of buckwheat. That's what the vast majority of this is. Maybe 20 pounds of yellow peas, and maybe like 5 pounds of cow peas. It's done a pretty darn good job of suppressing weeds. A lot of people are like, wow, isn't that competing with your corn? The reason for buckwheat is it uses very little nitrogen. It can be a nitrogen fixer, actually. And from what I've heard from some papers, it's usually only in the presence of they're not a legume, but in presence of legumes or immediately after legumes, they can utilize some of the same bacteria that fix nitrogen. But it seems like the buckwheat has one and not a whole lot of peas that I can see, so I don't know if I'll continue to do that. And with the manure, I don't know that the buckwheat's fixing much nitrogen, but it's hopefully not using a ton. It's known to grow in very poor soil conditions, so it's not a heavy feeder whatsoever. Also, you can crimp it, so the nutrients that it does take up, I had a welder build a crimper that crimps in between the rows. This is a twin row configuration here. So I do that for canopy closure reasons, but yeah, so you don't get all of the buckwheat and other stuff, but take down a lot of it. And buckwheat is a very optimal carbon to nitrogen ratio throughout its entire life, basically. And by optimal, I mean it doesn't tie up nitrogen, for example. It's a low enough C/N ratio that it breaks down rather quickly, and meaning it can be taken up by the corn then if it breaks down quickly, which is well timed if you're going to crimp it in probably very soon, before it gets too tall. And then, you're essentially have stored up some nutrients that then get released later closer to pollination and grain fill, which I think is probably a benefit. What else? Yeah, I spread 26 or 2,800 pounds of pelleted poultry manure per acre on this. Analysis is like 3.5, 3:1. So 80 to 90 pounds of N. And in my experience, yield should be, definitely over 100 bushel. So there's, I think, quite a bit of, it's pretty efficient with these cover crops. They're not just robbing all your nutrients. They're doing pretty good, I'd say, with the corn. So I'll bring you over to beans next, then sunflowers.